So today we're working on a 1983 Fiat 124 in green, and as you can see, this thing is a total mess. Now, it's been sitting in a garage for over 20 years, and the owner of the car called me and said, hey, the owner of the property is kicking me out. He's selling the house, so we gotta move the car. Either take it back, let's clean it up, I'm gonna drive it and or sell it, but either way, it's gotta move from this garage. Now, as you can see, there are animal prints everywhere. I can only imagine what I'm gonna find on the inside. Likewise, if you're new to the channel, my name is Larry, so please like and subscribe. That helps all content creators find cars just like this, as well as visit my website at ammonyc.com to check out all the products that I use on cars just like this, all the way up to concours cars. So, as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the preservation. So a few days earlier, I headed out to Passaic, New Jersey to meet up with Aaron. Hey, you got a car for sale? The owner of the car, to help him get it out of the old garage. And as we made it back to where I thought the car was hiding, we found a lot more than just an old forgotten Fiat.
Yeah, that's definitely a deer head.
Something else I want to show you, this is my own invention. This is like blow you away type thing.
Got it.
Built myself a storage unit that is really ingenious. I built a platform and I built drawers into it.
Wow, that is a big draw.
Anyhow, in the backyard, past the collection of old fire extinguishers, he showed me his collection of model cars. Behind door number 2 and 3, same thing. Cars, motorcycles, ships, boats, planes, a fox or coyote or something, some sort of head there. This kind of turned into a mini episode of American Pickers. Now, over in the next door property where the car was stored for the past 10 years or so, we walked up to what was left of a garage door. And as you can see, the Fiat is underneath all these boxes and junk. So I was pretty excited.
Yeah, we got a little bit of work to do here.
Unfortunately, I got some scratches.
After a bit more research, it turns out that this is a 1981 Fiat 124 in smoke gray, not an 83 as I first thought. It was actually designed and manufactured at the Italian Pininfarina factory as a monocoque, front-engine, fuel-injected, rear-wheel drive Spider with 102 horsepower that debuted at the Turin Auto Show in November of 1966. In 1979, Fiat renamed the 124 as the Spider 2000, as you can see on the trunk right here, and by 1985, production ended completely after almost 200,000 Spiders being built, with 75% of those 200 being made for the US market. So for all you super nerds out there, this is kind of interesting. The marketing in the US for the Fiat was later turned over from Fiat to the infamous Malcolm Bricklin. We talked about him a bunch in a previous episode. We had the Bricklin SV1 in the studio a while back that was left in a barn for years, and then we restored it and sold it after the restoration detail. If you want to find out more information, click the link above to see that crazy episode. Anyhow, back to the Fiat. Opening up the garage door or whatever was left of it was quite an adventure, but somehow the door actually stayed on the tracks, sort of, and at the very minimum, it didn't come down crashing on the car, which is exactly what I thought was going to happen. So we moved all the boxes off the paint first and then tried to fill the tires, which were somewhat useless because they were just totally dry rotted.
I don't know if it's doing anything.
Certainly doesn't look like it.
At this point, the tire was falling off the bead and the rim, and we just couldn't pull it anymore. So Aaron and Donnie, the deerhead, pulled the van around and quickly hooked up a tow strap just to get her out into the daylight to see what we were working with.
Whoa. So is this the first time she's seen light in how long?
A decade.
A decade.
Yeah.
Cleaned up. I know this can clean up for sure. The paint can clean up. Interior's not as bad as you'd think. Interior doesn't look so bad. A little bit of work to be done. We do have to try the glove box. Someone's been living here.
With the nuts in the glove box, the engine compartment disgusting, and the trunk full of mouse nests, I can only imagine what I was going to find during the detail later on. But
That's
first,
definitely nice.
we needed to get this in a trailer on the street. But of course, there's no air in the tire. It's clearly not running. So we had a bit of a problem. First, Aaron pulled a U-ey and double parked the one-car trailer in oncoming traffic and then opened up the ramp. Next, he backed the van up and we tied it up once again with the tow strap, pulled it, or basically yanked it out into the street, and then I tried to push it downhill with a flat tire.
Big bump, big bump, big bump. Oh, e-brake's on.
Nope.
No?
No. It's gonna get even better.
Well, this is the first.
So at this point, the plan was just to push it with the van.
I can't believe this is working. Oh. You're on the court.
Crap.
Well, we're in.
Miraculously, it
That's
actually made
terrifying.
it most of the way without tipping the trailer over or causing some sort of weird accident. And then we pushed it up the last few inches just by kind of
gonna lock it
manhandling
down,
in
or
there,
what are you gonna do?
closed her up for the journey back to the studio, and just headed home. Once we arrived and pulled it out of the trailer, I tried to put the wheel skates underneath, but because the tire was flat, the rubber just sort of squeezed out of the bottom and just touched the ground, preventing us from moving it easily. Then I tried a piece of wood, same thing. So I went across the street and borrowed Steve's wheel skate, and that thing has no hole on the bottom of it. So we put it on top of there and then pushed it into place. Aaron left me the keys and one of his many model cars in hopes that I could turn the real one into something similar to his model. The next day, inside and under the lights, this is in really rough shape. The roof is covered in dirt. The windows have animal prints everywhere. The bumpers are rusted. Paint is really scratched up. The wheels are absolutely trash. And inside, there's dirt, mouse droppings, rusted out steering wheels, and a funky smell everywhere. So this is going to need a lot of love. Step one is to simply loosen the lugs on the ground. And surprisingly, I cannot believe this, nothing broke. It actually all came out easily. Then I lifted the car and removed all four wheels, revealing disc brakes on all four corners, which is actually a big deal in the late 70s and early 80s, so it's kind of cool. Clearly, the calipers are a great hiding place for spiders and leaves after all these years. Likewise, the bolts were really rusted, so I soaked them in Boost anti-salt and a small bucket of water, and as you can see, the top layers of corrosion started to flake off immediately, so I just let them sit for a while. Next, I inspected the brakes and suspension and found insects and spiders living in and around the rotors and calipers, which was a new one for me. I never saw that. So I lifted the car up to my height and began the cleaning process to make life a little bit easier for the mechanic to remove and replace most, if not all, of the suspension and brake components. To do this, I used Plum Wheel Cleaner with no pre-rinse to avoid diluting the product in this severe case. Afterwards, I filled the foamer with Brute wheel soap, added some water, replaced the nozzle, and gave it a shake before pulling out the pressure washer. Just as a quick FYI, big thank you to everyone who's asked about the ammo pressure washer. I'll have a lot more info and a dedicated video on my website, of course, but just know it's a huge honor to work directly with the team at AR in Italy to make this special edition Ammo 630 pressure washer. Again, I'll have a lot more info at ammonyc.com. Okay guys, at this point I am rounding third on the calipers and the wheel wells. We're gonna lift up and do the underneath, but I wanted to show you something I've been working on for a while. Again, this is still just a prototype. So if you look at this, it's called a dual density brush. Why? Because there's two different densities within the same brush. It's super cool. I'll put my wrist up just because it's white and you can see that little
Now that's going to be the top part there. This part right here is going to be more of a cone. We're still working on designing that. And they're going to be two different types of fibers. One's a little bit less aggressive and this one's going to be more. So in theory, as you pretend I'm pushing here, as you push, you can tickle in here, no problem. And then when you push harder, you get stiffer bristle brushes. Why I want that is a lot of times when I'm doing calipers in here, I can just get the little edges in here, no problem. And if I need a little bit more oomph, I push down and now you get the second density, meaning the dual density, the second part of it. And I'm also working on the big flat brushes that we're using here, the wheel well brushes, working on a tri-density. So it's a little bit soft. You push harder, it becomes hard, you know, the bristles become harder, and you push even harder, then it becomes even more hard. So it's tri-density. It's just changing the level of aggressiveness of the tool with the pressure that you're putting. So I'm working on a bunch of these different things. Hopefully they're coming out soon. If I do, I'll put a link up there. But again, this is a prototype. So pretty cool. We're almost done. Let's lift it up and do the underneath.
Afterwards, I blew off the water and inspected the undercarriage to relay the condition to the owner. Now, when I was done, my floor was covered in dirt and undercoating that was delaminating over the years. Next was power washing the years of grime and animal prints off the paint. The convertible top of the Spider was in really bad shape, so I sprayed Titan 12 degreaser on half of the roof and then agitated with a few dual density scrubbers and interior brushes to lift the baked in dirt. The before and after was huge. I repeated the same steps on the driver's side. With the top now clean, I soaked the paint in foam and agitated the tight spots with an emblem brush. Once done, I power wash the paint again and just look at the difference just from a basic wash. For the engine, I'm using the Pro Foamer and Frothy Anti-Salt because it just coats the parts in cleaner. It's super helpful. And the softer two-tier scrub brush along with Plum Wheel Cleaner in certain areas that need a little more oomph. For the final rinse, I increased the temperature of the pressure washer water and the grime just fell off the engine. As you can see underneath, just tons of junk is hitting my floor. As a very last step, I blow out the pockets of water that were missed with compressed air, and the engine looked 1,000 times better. After drying the paint, it was now time to clean the interior by first lowering the convertible top and removing everything from the car.
The cleaning. Let's see if we can get these out. Oh.
With that, I removed the 4 bolts from each seat and pulled them out of the car for easier cleaning.
1 down, 2 to go. No, I did that wrong. 1 minus 2 is 1. Ow! Almost.
Same thing on the steering wheel as well. I wanted to surprise Aaron with a fresh paint job when he comes to pick it up in the next few days. After I removed the rear seats, a huge mouse nest was in the corner, so I picked that up and put it in my garbage before vacuuming the entire interior. To open up the trunk, check out the keyhole in the emblem. That's a really nice touch, especially in the early 80s. Pretty cool. But the trunk had more mouse homes and chewed up material everywhere. Just about then, my new prototype brushes arrived. Woohoo!
That is a dual density brush. My prototypes are in. Now this is a tri-density brush. So there's 3 different levels of aggressive brush in there. And this is sort of like a light brush and a medium. This one's a light brush and a stiff. And this one is a light brush, medium, and then if you push even harder, it's super stiff. So that's what's pretty cool. You like this, so you're good to go. You want a little bit more aggressive, push down a little bit more. You want crazy aggressive, push down even more. Ah, I love
Okay,
nice
back
brushes.
to the trunk. I needed to remove everything, vacuum it,
Amazing.
clean it with
Amazing
Frothy,
brush.
then disinfect it with Ammo Restore. When you're using Restore, remember you gotta leave it visibly wet for at least 2 minutes before wiping dry. For more information, visit ammonyc.com and check out the how-to video of Restore. It's absolutely amazing product. We spent 2 years developing it to get approval from the EPA. On the interior, I repeated the same exact steps with ammo lather, a scrub pad, and an interior dual density brush. Next, I recleaned the triangle brush on the steamer from the 401 Cessna disaster detail I did a couple of weeks ago before starting to steam clean the interior. I didn't want to cross-contaminate anything. Plus, if you haven't seen that video, click the link above. Absolutely disgusting. I actually got sick for about 3 weeks afterwards because of all the fecal matter and everything. It was by far the worst disgusting thing I've ever done. With the interior clean and disinfected, I repeated the same steps on the seats and left them outside in the sun when I was done. Next up were the carpets. Now these were pretty gross and there was fecal matter everywhere. So first thing I wanted to do was vacuum, then I sprayed with shag and scrubbed with a dual density carpet scrubber. If you look closely here, some of the spots, they were actually black and they turned out to be grease stains. So for those, I used Titan 12 degreaser or your favorite degreaser on those specific areas first to pre-treat them. Next, I steam vac to remove the smell. After the steam vac, I noticed that one of the mats was just way too dirty for normal cleaning, so I covered it in Brute and used the drill brush instead. When I was done, I power washed all the soap out of the carpets and then wet vac the carpet, both the top and the bottom part, so keep that in mind, and then I left them in the sun to dry. I repeated the same steps on the interior carpets as well before sanitizing with Restore. Once everything was clean and dry, then I reassembled the interior. As I mentioned earlier, the wheels are just toast. There's no way to clean them, so I loaded them in the Taycan and headed down to Performance Industries early the next morning to drop off the wheels and the steering wheel to be repainted.
Look at this. Look at this. Look behind me. Unbelievable.
I was literally just gonna spray paint them. When they arrived, the old tires were removed, the wheels were sandblasted, then put in the oven, powder coated, and brought back to life. Same thing on the steering wheel. Plus, they put fresh new tires on the new wheels when they were done. Evan and the boys are the best in the business for sure. I love them, so I cannot wait to surprise Aaron in the next few days. Now, while Performance was working on the wheels, I came back to the studio to clean up the paint. And after just one pass, the paint wasn't perfect, but it was way better. Take a look. My plan then was to create a 50-50 with the yellow wool pad and blue compound to see how much better one step would do just to refresh the look of the Fiat. Now with the paint looking much better, I went back down to Performance Industries and picked up the wheels and the steering wheel, and they looked absolutely phenomenal, amazing. I was really happy. Now, before reinstalling them, I did want to clean up the lug nuts with a little bit of blue compound, 4/0 steel wool, just to remove the remaining oxidation and just to clean them up a little bit. Now at this point, since I had the wool out, I quickly cleaned up the rusted bumpers and the trim areas that are going to be replaced by him anyways in the future, but it was worth 5 minutes of work just to see his reaction when he arrives in a few hours. As you can see, the before and after was pretty significant for a minimal level of effort, meaning like it took me 5 or 6 minutes each bumper. It wasn't really a big deal. And of course, I repeated the same steps on the remaining trim. Next was the big moment for me. I reinstalled the brand new wheels and hubcaps, and the new shoes looked right at home. I was so happy. This changed the car's look completely. Afterwards, I dressed the tires with mud, and the combination of the new wheels, the mud on the tires, the paint looking shiny, the entire car just looked fantastic. It really did look like the model, and I was just bouncing off the walls waiting for Aaron to show up. Now, at the same time, with mud in my hand, I decided to quickly coat the rubber just to give it a little bit of a pop, and I chose not to use Frame Pro here because the whole bumper is going to be replaced soon anyway, so I didn't want to waste any of that stuff. Again, just wanted a bit of pop to surprise Aaron, and it did the trick. Next, I cleaned the windshield and the side glass before reinstalling the freshly painted steering wheel and horn buttons. As my very last step, I added wax to the polished paint. Blush goes on and comes off just like regular Carnauba wax, so it's super easy, but the reflex shine is really intense, even on super old and neglected paint like this one. And when I was done, the paint in the interior looked brand new. All right.
Hey, Larry.
Good to see you.
You too.
Come on in and see her.
Oh my God.
Crazy, right?
Wow.
Come on in.
Take my breath away.
Doesn't that look like the model now?
Exactly. I can't thank you enough.
Ah, no worries.
I tell you.
We pulled the interior out, pulled all the pieces out.
You redid the tires?
We got these repainted. We put tires on there for you. All this is repainted, as you can see. Yeah, my buddies at Performance did that. Cleaned up the engine,
shine.
polished this. Kind of looks like a new car now. You should have seen all the stuff that came off of it. I mean, just pounds of stuff came off of it.
Chrome, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Pretty crazy, right? Look, the steering wheel too. We redid the steering wheel. So we had that repainted for you. That was all rusted out.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Crazy. The seats came out really great. In the
Larry?
back seat here, there was a huge mouse nest
Really?
underneath the seat because we pulled all the seat. I mean, all of this was out. The floors are out. Everything was out. But yeah,
It's a good looking car.
it is a great looking car. People are going to love it. Get this thing back on the road.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
It's going from here to the mechanic.
Nice.
2 weeks, I'm going to be driving this.
I love it. That's exactly what I
I'm gonna
wanted to
send you
hear.
some pictures and so. When I showed you my tremendous collection,
Now check this out. As a token of his appreciation, Aaron gave me 2 surprise gifts. Absolutely amazing. An Audi R8 model and a Porsche 964 model. Super cool and really meaningful. So thank you, Aaron.
one second, I dropped them. Just for that. It even looks good in the trailer.
There you go. Enjoy. Well, guys, we're all done with the Fiat 124, and it looks absolutely amazing. More importantly, now it looks like the model, which is pretty cool. The interior came out great. The paint came out fantastic. And of course, the wheels are looking good. So hopefully the super cool Roadster will be back on the road this summer. Now, if you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe. Plus, you can always find me at larry@ammonyc.com. As always, thanks for watching. See you next week. Hey guys, I'm super excited to let you know that the car detailing simulator and the ammo DLC is finally here. It's about to premiere on April 13th, 2022. We even added in the Taycan. You can change the colors of the Taycan. You can detail till your eyeballs fall out. It is really exciting. Plus, I had the team come in and they shot this camera laser beams all over the place. So there's a 1-to-1 replica of the ammo studio. Everything from the pictures on the walls to the products to the gym on the 3rd floor. If you download the ammo DLC, you can play and detail a car inside the shop. It's super cool. For more information, make sure you click on the link below. As always, guys, thanks for watching and enjoy playing.